All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always ready.
Awesome. So today we're going kind of personal. Well, the topic is, anyway. We're looking at long-term recovery. Like, what does it really take to make a lasting change? And
Hmm.
we've got some excerpts from a text that frames this whole thing in terms of spiritual growth and self-reflection.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting angle. So often we approach recovery as this
Yeah.
battle to be won.
Right, right. Like, grit your teeth, white knuckle it, and
It's
you'll come out the other side.
but this text, it really emphasizes the journey aspect. It's not about reaching some perfect state and being done.
It's like a constant evolution, right?
Exactly. And there's this one quote that really stood out to me. It says, "Growth should continue for our lifetime." Like it never stops.
Wow. I mean, it makes sense when you think about it.
Right.
It's not like you just fix the problem and then everything's perfect.
Mhm.
And it actually, the text even says, continue to take personal inventory. And then later, it says, continue to set right any new mistakes. So it's really about
Mhm.
owning the process.
Yeah, and being willing to constantly look at yourself and see where you might be going off track.
So, okay, I'm really curious about this. What does that personal inventory look like in practice?
So the text specifically calls out these four things: selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear.
Okay, so it's not just about stopping a specific behavior,
Right.
but about really examining the underlying
Yep.
stuff.
It's like even if you've stopped drinking, for example, you might still be holding on to resentment towards someone or acting selfishly in other areas of your life.
So you might be sober, but not actually living in a way that's healthy and aligned with your values.
Yeah. And that's where these deeper patterns can really sabotage you.
Okay, so how do you deal with these things? Because they're not easy to face.
Right. Well, the text has some pretty strong advice on that.
Yeah.
It says, let me see, ask God at once to remove them
Okay.
and to discuss them with someone immediately. Like, don't wait, don't let it fester.
Wow, there's real urgency there. And then it also says to make amends quickly if we have harmed anyone. So it's not just about your internal state, but about taking action to repair any damage you've done.
It's about accountability, taking ownership of how your actions have affected others. And it's interesting because in a way, this goes against what we often do with uncomfortable feelings, right?
Try to avoid them.
Push them down, distract ourselves. But this text is saying, no, lean into it, face it head on, get it out in the open.
Talk about it, make amends, and then keep moving forward.
Exactly. And it also emphasizes love and tolerance of others is our code, which I think speaks to the importance of relationships in this whole process. You
Yeah.
need that support system.
Yeah, it makes sense. You're not in this alone. Okay, but there's this other part that really struck me as, I don't know, maybe a little counterintuitive. It says to cease fighting anything or anyone, even alcohol.
Yeah, that's a powerful one. It's like, wait, shouldn't we be fighting addiction?
Right, that's what we always hear.
But I think what the text is getting at is that at a certain point, the constant struggle can actually be counterproductive.
So it's not about willpower, like white knuckling it.
Not exactly. The text talks about achieving a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. So it's about creating an internal environment where the desire for that substance or behavior just fades away.
Because you've addressed the root cause, you've tended your inner garden so well
Yeah.
that the weeds just don't have space to grow anymore.
I love that analogy. It really captures the essence of it. It's like a fire losing its fuel. The desire can't sustain itself when you remove what's feeding it.
That's brilliant. And it seems to tie back into this idea of continuous spiritual growth.
That's
Because the text closes by saying, carry the vision of God's will. And how can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done.
hmm
And then my favorite line, we must go further. And that means more action. So it's not just about thinking about it. It's about living it. What does taking action in one's spiritual life actually look like?
I think it looks different for everyone, but some common threads I see are things like prayer, meditation, finding ways to be of service to others, even just taking some time each day for quiet reflection.
So it's about making those things a consistent part of your life, not just something you turn to when you're in crisis.
Exactly. You're actively cultivating a life that supports your well-being.
Man, this has been such an insightful conversation. I always learn so much from you. And for everyone listening out there, here's something I want you to ponder. If you were to stop constantly battling your problems, what would you have the energy to create instead? What possibilities would open up if you shifted your focus from fighting to growing? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me.